So we should talk about the failure to launch. The DeSantis campaign. I wrote about this a little bit yesterday. They ultimately did launch, and to his credit, Ron DeSantis on Twitter last night spent a lot of time delving into policy, pretty specific policies, from COVID to education to energy. He had a lot of details to internet policy dealing with China. He had a lot. He started with an opening statement and went on from there. But the headline is not going to be what he said because a lot of people gave up in frustration. It's going to be a supposed failure to launch. You know, there was a story that Elon Musk is gunning for Fox News. Clearly, this is part of it. I think Rupert Murdoch went to sleep very well last night. So there's convention and conventional wisdom. There are conventions, things that you do. There is conventional wisdom. There are the ideas people hold and think about. And the conventional wisdom is that you hold the convention of a rally. It is something of a political convention. You get together with your top supporters and you declare your candidacy on a stage of your choice and design with your logo, with your branding, with your message. You control everything. It is conventional wisdom that you should go through one of these things to control your message. And when you're launching at peak interest of your campaign, you do not leave it to other people to set you up to fail or succeed. And to his credit, Ron DeSantis was very bold in trying to launch something on Twitter. Don't forget, Newt Gingrich tried to launch on YouTube, and it wound up going the same way. And no one remembers Newt Gingrich tried a YouTube launch of his campaign, a live YouTube launch, not a pre-recorded video, but a live launch. It didn't work out. Same with DeSantis with Twitter. I continue to think that Elon Musk is actually somewhat overrated. Look, he does good stuff, but even SpaceX, he kind of stays out of the way and lets the smart people help. At Twitter, he thinks he's the smart person, and I'm not impressed. I do think the platform has degraded. I don't think it was necessarily wise for DeSantis to do it, but he wanted to try something out of the box. So credit to him for trying something out of the box, but it didn't work out. Also, it allowed all the other campaigns to make failure to launch jokes. The DeSantis crashed and burned. DeSantis can say he did something on Twitter Donald Trump never did, which is bring it down. Also, DeSantis can point out 700,000 people were interested. 700,000 people were lined up with their phones to listen to his launch. He couldn't have gotten that if he did a traditional launch in his hometown or somewhere with a stage event. 700,000 people wouldn't have showed up. 700,000 people tried to get him on Twitter. Ultimately, it was 200,000 to 300,000 who were able. They had to relaunch it. People had to connect back in to find it. But he crashed Twitter. Donald Trump never crashed Twitter. That's impressive, but also it kind of showed the conventional wisdom was right. You don't put your launch in the hands of someone who can give you bad press. And all of the press overnight was joking about it. Now, does it matter ultimately? No. In 2 weeks, people are going to forget about this. They forgot about Newt Gingrich's live YouTube launch that didn't work out. Now, his campaign didn't work out. Will DeSantis change? Will DeSantis do something different? I suspect so. Ron DeSantis is going to hit the ground in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, the first big states. Nevada, not Nevada. If you're not from Nevada, you can call it Nevada, but they know you're not from there. When I was at CNN, they always said, you got to call it Nevada. That's what the Nevadans call it. So the Nevadans call it Nevada, so I will call it Nevada. And he will go there. He will spend time in Iowa and New Hampshire. His super PAC will be dedicated to the ground game. For perspective, Ron DeSantis has in the bank with his super PAC now more money than Jeb Bush and his super PAC combined spent in 2016, which at the time was a record. Jeb Bush set the record in 2016 for money spent, and it didn't work out for him. And now DeSantis has more money than that. But Jeb Bush's super PAC spent a lot of time on ads that were not very good ads. They spent a lot of time on mail. They got a lot of commissions out of this. DeSantis's team on the super PAC is going to spend their time on the ground game. And DeSantis will raise his own money. Last night in Florida, Ron DeSantis was holding a big fundraiser. He was with his top donors. And the top donors were pledging money to get him out of the gate. And I suspect, from what I'm told, he will raise more money out of the gate than Donald Trump was able to raise over several months. In fact, DeSantis now has more money than Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis has seen Donald Trump spend more money against DeSantis than any Democrat in 2022, or all the Democrats combined, and now Ron DeSantis has more money than Donald Trump. Will it matter? I don't know that it'll matter. I do think the polling suggests that DeSantis is the alternative to Trump right now. The other candidates get an opportunity to decide whether or not they're going to be an alternative. They get to decide how engaged they're going to be. They're going to spend a lot of money raising money, though. DeSantis has more money than all of them. Tim Scott, though, has got $22 million and raised $2 million in a day. That's impressive money. He'll have the money to go to the distance. What the DeSantis campaign promises is depth of policy knowledge, an agreement, an alliance with the values and issues of Trump voters, and not being Trump. If he can show Trump voters that he's with them, but he's not Trump and might be able to win, maybe they go with him. Most Republican voters, despite the disdain of the media and the hostility of the media, a lot of Republican voters out there are kind of like, we like this guy. It's this guy. This is our alternative. This is our preference. Even a lot of the people who say they're going to vote for Trump actually are keeping an eye on DeSantis. But that doesn't mean DeSantis can go the distance. That doesn't mean DeSantis will go the distance. And we're at a point in economies of scale where you reach a point where all the money in the world doesn't help you if people don't like you. He's got to have a message that bridges a gap within the Republican Party. We're seeing more and more a lot of these never Trump people who hate DeSantis. They're just not Republicans anymore. They were Republicans when they were getting the checks and they were getting the commissions and they were getting the consulting contracts. And now that they're not, they're showing their true nature, their true colors. The people who led so many Republicans to go in Donald Trump's direction, these people who they practiced or they preached what they didn't really believe. They advanced candidates whose causes they didn't really care about. They were charlatans and grifters, and they're being exposed. But what of DeSantis? I think DeSantis is the guy he claims to be. I think he has a consistent message, but will it resonate beyond a core group? Will it be broad enough to bridge a gap within the Republican Party? Will DeSantis be able to use the money to consolidate other campaigns to him, pick up endorsements as some drop out? Because everyone knows some of these people, and I don't know who it is, some of them will drop out. Maybe some who are thinking of getting in won't get in. Will they endorse DeSantis? Or will they try to build a wall between DeSantis and Trump? It's too soon to tell. What we do know is DeSantis out of the gate last night tried something out of the box, defying conventional wisdom, defying standard convention of a political campaign, and it didn't work so well. And no one will remember next week. Trey Gowdy, to his credit, on Fox News winds up being the guy who gets the maximum exposure for DeSantis because the Twitter space didn't work out. Elon Musk has really done the platform no major favors. It continues to degrade. DeSantis will move on. There'll be some punchlines. He can make a joke about it. What really matters is next week, after Memorial Day, he hits the ground. Everybody forgets about the launch on Twitter Spaces. What happens next matters most. Can DeSantis prove he's the guy to take on Trump? And can he be the guy in a series of polls that have shifted against him towards Trump, be the guy to convince people he can beat Trump and beat Biden? He's got to do those things. Can he pull them off? I don't know. But the race is on.